Hey, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Thursday Night Live. I hope you can hear me. Um, we have about 9 people here already, and I'm really super excited about that because I didn't think we'd have much of a crowd tonight. Considering I haven't been live in like what 6 weeks. It's been a while, and I had taken a break from YouTube too, as far as getting videos out for a while. I kind of just needed to step back and recharge a little bit, but. Yeah, we're live, and the videos has been starting to crank out again on a weekly basis. So it's exciting. It's good to be back. How are all you guys doing? We have 8 of you now here. We got 5 likes, so thank you very much. If you are out there, please say hello in the chat. I know I saw, let's see, Jeremy with Practical IT. Jeremy's here, so welcome, Jeremy. I saw Grish from, let's see, Grish said he's here from Walmart. Good, good, good. Well, thank you for tuning in from Walmart. Appreciate it. If anyone else is here in the chat, please let me know. Please say hello. Yeah, it's been a while, and I got my notes over here. I have a couple of things to just want to share, but really, I just wanted to go live just to kind of hang out with everybody and catch up and see what everybody's doing. I do have a couple of things I want to show you. Got a couple of new items. I did add something new to the actual studio too, more so for the sports show than for me, but it's doing its job, and it's a toy, it's a gadget, and you know how we all feel about toys and gadgets, right? So, yeah. So, let's see, let me know what's new with all of you. I know I haven't been making many of the live streams the last couple of weeks, but I am watching most of your videos that I do follow, your live streams that I do follow. I do follow the next day, follow up or the next day or two after, and watch the replay. So at least you're getting some likes and some watch hours out of me that way. So yeah, if you can, please just give me an idea on the audio. Is it clear? Is it loud enough? Is it not loud enough? Just let me know down in the comments. All right, so let's see. What's new? Well, I've had a couple of new things going on as of late. About 3 weeks ago, 4 weeks ago, I had a biopsy done on my gums. I had a tooth pulled many, many years ago, and it was way, way, way in the back. Long story short, I never put a cap or anything in there, and the gum surface started to turn white as of the last year or two, and I changed dentists, and the new dentist was like, you really need to go get that checked out. I'm going to send you to an oral surgeon. So I was like, okay, but my former dentist was saying to me, we'll keep an eye on it. It's really, I don't think it's anything to worry about. But this new dentist, I guess he wanted to play it safe and sent me to an oral surgeon. $1,000 later, actually, I would say $1,200 because it was $200 for the consultation and then another $1,000 to do the biopsy, and none of that's covered by my dental or my medical insurance. So, but I guess it's better to know, right, than not to know. In any event, I had this biopsy done. In fact, it was supposed to be, my consultation was on the day that Nate from the Teaching Technology channel was on that last live stream. And the doc said, no, you're going to be sore, swollen for a couple of hours. So I wouldn't do it today. Let's reschedule it. So, because I was considering while I was there for the consultation, just get the biopsy done, In any event, it came back and everything was good, nothing to worry about. And, so peace of mind there. So that was a bit of good news. But I will tell you, when you're waiting for news like that and you don't know, and it can go 50-50 one way or the other, it could be a bit stressful. But, I thank the Lord every day that I wake up and I have another day. It's 62 years old, too soon to be 63 at the end of this year. I count my blessings, and I'm thankful that I wake up and I have all my faculties, and I'm physically in decent shape. So, and then I just worry also about the health. So, yep, I take one day at a time, and that gets me through. So a little good news there. And I did get more good news this past weekend. My daughter and her boyfriend, Jonathan, announced their engagement Sunday night. And so super excited about that. And congratulations, Jesse and Jonathan. And they've been living together, and they do have you've heard me talk about my grandson Tavon. So they do have a 2.5, almost 3 year old now, but they're going to make it official. We don't have a date or anything like that, but it was really exciting, and it was really cool because Jonathan took me out for lunch on Friday, so I guess he knew what he had planned for Sunday, and we had lunch, and he kind of roundabout said, hey, we're thinking about maybe another kid, but when we get married, not until we get married, and so that kind of sparked the conversation. And he says, that is all right. That is if it's all right with you, and of course, right. So I kind of had an idea on Friday at lunch, but I didn't know his time frame. I had no idea he was going to actually propose to my daughter on that Sunday evening. So if you don't mind, it's a super happy event for my entire family. I would like to indulge you and just share a few of the pictures because Jonathan did one hell of a job prepping for this. And again, he didn't let on to me at all as to what he was doing, but he is kind of the romantic. I mean, I give him a lot of credit. I would not have thought of what he did. So if you don't mind, bear with me. I would like to indulge you and just share like a handful of pictures of what he did, and I'll kind of explain it to you as we're going. But I have to get signed into my Synology, so bear with me. So I got to get into Synology Photos. I hope you're all doing well. Please share in the comments some of the things that you've all been up to. Working on any technology projects, any house projects, anything like that, let me know. Okay. Let's see. Synology Photos. All right. Let me bring this up here. All right, so I'll start with this one here. Let me switch screens. All right, so Jonathan is a school teacher, and he's a phys ed teacher actually in a public school system here in North Carolina. However, he also bartends for private affairs, weddings, and catering events, things like that, at a really neat place down in downtown Wilmington called the Atrium. So this is the courtyard in the Atrium. He planned with the owner to have everything set up. You see all the candles in the background. He had a photographer there. It really, really put a lot of thought into it. You see him down on one knee. Now you might be saying, my daughter, she's got a blindfold on, so didn't she know something was up? But actually no, because when they make it a point ever since they had the child to go out on a date once a week, right? So they do a surprise date, and they take turns, and one blindfolds the other depending on who's doing the surprise. And yeah, so it was his turn to surprise her. So the blindfold actually didn't really tip it off. So as you can see here, she doesn't know at this point that he's down on one knee. And then when she takes the blindfold off, you could see her face, her emotions, her reaction. So really, really cool. And I'm so happy for the two of them. Again, a little bit more reaction after the proposal. There they are again. Just super sweet guy. We love Jonathan to death. So he's always been a part of the family for the last couple of years, but now I guess it makes it official. And that's my grandson Tavon. And that his personality is as big as that smile is on his face. He's everything that you see there. So, and then they were just toasting, and there's a picture of the ring. So yeah, super, super exciting night and weekend for the Smeraldi family and the Sidbury family. That's Jonathan's family as well. So I thank you guys for at least letting me share that with you. I know this is a technology stream, and yeah, but I like to share things as they happen, and not always kind of related to technology. It gets you to see a little bit more of who I am and the person. And yeah, so anyway, So let's see. Let's see who else is here. Sylvain is here. Let me bring up some messages. So Jeremy says, I'm glad everything worked out. Excuse me. Thank you, Jeremy. I appreciate that. Let's see. Sylvain says, speaking of Synology photos, did you notice that Synology will drop the ball for the... yeah, I've noticed that, and I'm hoping that in future releases and of the program, I hope they address that, because it's not something that they can just ignore. It's not going to go away. Practical IT says more cleaning and working on a video that will hopefully come out on Saturday. Very cool. Yeah, I have also doing a release on Saturday. I have part 2 in the Grand Stream Home Networking Guide for Newbies video coming out. Super happy with the way that video came out. I do have, let's see, I have episodes or video 3 and video 4 recorded already, just the raw footage. I haven't edited it. And I have 3 more to go. So I got to do episode 5, 6, and 7. It's going to be a 7 video series. So the first one's been published. It was published last week. The second one is coming out on Saturday. So yeah, and then I'll be releasing shorts in between, and yeah, just trying to get back into the swing of things. And I hope you guys are watching the home networking series, and as it progresses, and I love your feedback along the way over the next couple of weeks. So thank you so much. Let's see. Grish says, did you see that Synology is removing? Yeah, we were just talking about that. It's going to depend on devices to generate the, yeah. I hope they don't, Grish. I hope they rethink that and take a different route. Ali, hi. Thanks for joining. Thank you so much. Yeah, I did a couple of preludes to the series, so I appreciate you watching. I don't really want to give it away, but I did kind of in the first video. So the second video that's coming out Saturday, it talks about what I do, the Wi-Fi, adding the 3 Wi-Fi, assigning them to VLANs, adopting the access point, adopting the switch, setting IP addresses, things like that, static IP addresses. Video 3 and 4 are done. Video 3, I believe I was on port profiles, on the switch port profiles. Video 4 was on the firewall rules to segregate the guest network and the IoT network from the main network. 5 is going to be on bandwidth throttling the guest network. Let's see, bandwidth. Number 6 is going to be on, we're going to touch on the SSL inspection so that you can create your own SSL certificate and then install it in your browser so that you don't get that annoying message every time you bring up the web interface for the Grand Stream devices. And then the reason I'm actually touching on that, it's not really something that I want to do in a beginner series, but it goes along hand in hand with part 7, which is the web filtering and web content. So in order for that to work efficiently and work with HTTP, we're going to do that video in video number 6 to set that up. So in any event, that's coming along. I'm excited about it. I hope it does well. It seems to be doing okay so far. So let's see. Grish says they should add a paid package to the Synology store for HEVC for those who want it. In fact, I recall purchasing something like that in the past. Yeah, that's a good point. That's a really good point. Yeah. I mean, that's something I would buy for sure. Ali says, I think the new Grand Stream Wi-Fi firewall is very good for small business. I do. I agree. I just think, again, I'm spoiled because coming from the Edge Router series, there are things I can do in the Edge Router firewall that I can't yet seem to do in the Grand Stream firewall, but it's not a deal breaker. for me. In fact, when this video series is completely recorded and done, I'm actually replacing my EdgeRouter 6P in the back room with the GrandStream GCC 6010 or one of the GrandStream routers. Right now, I'm leaning towards it being the GCC 6010, but what I'm saying, some of the things that right now GrandStream hasn't incorporated into the UI that I hope they do down the road, for example, is making IP groups, for example, so that you don't have to redo a firewall multiple times for each different, I just want it like the RFC private 1918 addresses. I would love to be able to just make an address group or an IP group and put all the RFC addresses in one group and then apply the group to the firewall. I can do that on the Edge router. I can't do that right now on the GrandStream router. I have to create a firewall rule for the 192 addresses, then create a same firewall for the 172, and then the same firewall rule for the 10 addresses. So while I think it's very good, I think it still is going to progress as GrandStream continues in this direction that they're going. So, but I don't disagree with you, Ali. I just think it's maturing as it goes. So that's a good way to put it. So, can you move active backup for VM to cloud? I'm assuming you mean cloud. I'm not sure on that one. To be honest, I have not tried, and I have not thought to investigate doing that, but I don't want to say yay or nay. I'm just going to say I'm not sure. Tech for Fun. Hello from Starlink. Very cool. You made it partially. I'm glad to see you here. Thank you. HVEC is like 30 or 60 cents a year per device. I understand why Synology acts it. It eats on their bottom line. Yep. Other companies like Apple just eat the cost. Well, again, hopefully Synology will come up with something. So, wow. All right, we got through the comments for now. So let me get that one off the screen. And so we got 15 of you here. Wow, 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 wow. We got 8 likes. So if you can hit that like button, I would appreciate it. Again, no one's commented on the audio, so I'm going to assume it's okay. No one said it's good or bad, so I'm going to go with it. No news is good news. Drinking water tonight, just straight old water. Been on this weight loss thing, as you all know, from the beginning of January. Let's see, I am down 36 pounds since January 1st. So I have like a few more pounds I want to go, like maybe another four or 5. And then that'll give me a little bit of a cushion, like a 5-pound cushion to fluctuate. So I'm trying to cut back a little bit on some of the intake. But another reason why I just have water and not my favorite whiskey in the wild is because I'm out, right? But I did place an order, and it'll be here hopefully next week, and I'm excited about that. So my stash is arriving soon, for those who are wondering. But so anything new with anybody? Anybody working on any projects? I see Joe has Starlink now, so that's something new for him that he's probably working on. And if I know him, he's adding it to his truck with all the other cellular antennas and rigmarole that he's got going on that vehicle. But in any event, anybody doing anything exciting, anything new? Jeremy said he's cleaning up and working on a video. Yeah. So let's see. Talked about the home networking series briefly, and I mentioned about my own situation with my gums, and yay, everything worked out there. Shared with you my daughter and Jonathan's engagement. Super excited about that. Like I said, no wedding date yet, but whatever it is, whenever it is, we are looking forward to it. We are just so happy for the two of them. So yay. It's been something that Mom and I have been waiting for a long time. So it's been, as far as news for us, this family, it's been a good couple of weeks. So I'm not going to lie about that. All right. So I know I don't see TVJ here tonight, but I know something I just wanted to touch on that TVJ mentioned in his stream the other night. And if you guys tuned in, he said something about cable runs and somebody actually dying from an incorrectly run cable at some type of broadcast shoot or game or something like that. I forget the exact scenario. And I wish I was in that stream live just to chime in on the conversation, because I always, even in the line of work that I do at the level that we do it, when we're running cabling through the attics, we always are careful about how we route it, not only to route it away from the electrical cables and all, but to route it in such a way and secure it so that it's not just done haphazardly. Because not only do I want to protect the cable from getting any kind of damage, but I also want to, I think of the other service people that may be climbing up into that attic after the fact, like an HVAC person or a plumber or something like that. And the last thing we need to do is have somebody like that tripping on a cable because it wasn't routed properly or it wasn't secured properly. So I just thought it was interesting that Jay said that such a tragic thing happened with a cable run type situation. So it was just something like I said, if I was in the chat that night, I would have chimed in, but here we are. So in any event, yeah, there's my 2 cents on that. So hello, Lisa. That's my wife. That's my better half. So yeah, thank you for joining. Grish says, I'm building an automatic reverse proxy. Type in any host name and add secure dot your domain, and it will automatically reverse proxy and port supported. Wow. So are you going to do a video on that, Krish? You do some wonderful things. We all, chat about what you talk about in these live streams, but you need to get on YouTube and share some of the wealth with the rest of us. That's awesome. Thanks for sharing. So, all right. I got something about a month ago from Amazon, and it's a little not expensive, like a $39 or $49 item. And it is made by a company called Zezo. Never heard of them. But it's a wire puller. It says wire puller for electricians. And I haven't opened it. I've got it. It's been sitting there. With all the stuff we have for running cables and pulling cables, my coworker says to me, we really need to get a cable puller. We have all the fish rods and we have snakes and we have this and we have that. But he says, we really should get a cable puller. And I said, yeah. I said, I've looked at the Magnapull, but the Magnapull is, depending on which kit you get, the Magnapull is like $189 or $200 or something like that. Could be even more. I don't know. But in any event, so he said, well, there's one I saw on Amazon and it's not that expensive. So I looked at it and I was like, you know what the heck, for the cost, let me see what it's all about. So it comes with a owner's manual. And it is pretty interesting, to say the least. All right, what do we have here? Let me switch cameras, actually. Hold on. Let's see. And switch. There we go. So, okay, so obviously comes a reel of string, and I believe the string it says was 20 feet worth of string or cable. And it has a little screw-on adapter on the end that screws on. So it has 3 other pieces in the box. It's got the main magnet here, and it's got a little tiny magnet here. I can't really pull it out, but I am going to screw it in to get it out. Okay. So there it is there, and you can see it's pretty strong. And then there's another one here. So, and this one is, you see it's sticking to me. Whoa. So it's pretty freaking strong. As you can see there, it just snaps, and it's hard. There we go. It's kind of hard to get apart. So I'm assuming I saw that. Whoops. Yeah, this thing is pretty strong. I'm assuming the concept, let me get these guys separated out here so they don't come alive and attack me. But I'm assuming the concept here is drill a hole in your header of the wall that you want to drop down, and drop this down your wall, and then grab it on the other side on the sheetrock or whatever the wall surface is and pull it to the location. So if I maybe had planned this out a little better, maybe I would have built a little dummy sheetrock wall, but we could do something here. So let's see. What do I have here? I have a clipboard. Let me take the paper off of it. And let's see. Let's see if you can see this. Let me drop this down here. Like that. Let me see if you can see that. And I'll take the other side, and now, I don't know if you could see, I'm pulling that magnet all the way around, right? So, and you can see it fall off. Now, let's try it. Let's add it through the paper. I don't know. Let's do the other one. Let's try the other one. So, I don't know if this is going to work through the paper, but let's see. Oops. I guess it's working through the paper. No problem. Okay. All right, let's try something else. I have something a little thicker. I have my whiteboard. All right, so let's try it on the whiteboard. On the whiteboard, actually, there we go. Let's do it this way. Whiteboard has a little magnet. There we go. And you can see I'm sliding it along the whiteboard. Now, just for laughs and giggles, let's put the whiteboard back to back with the clipboard. Let's hang the magnet there. It seems it's attaching a little bit, but as you can see, it's sliding because it's really only, I guess the whiteboard has some magnetic, but now when I put the other piece on the back, you can see how easily I'm able to move it around. So for $39 or $49, I could see it where it would come in handy here and there for certain situations. I mean, it's not something I think I'd break out all the time, but for maybe some tight situations, I think it would be advantageous to at least keep it in the bag, you know? So, yeah, so this is the Zezo, what they call it? The Zezo wire puller for electricians. Amazon, $39, $49, something like that. So, All right, let me put that away. Oops. Okay. There's that. I'm going to put it back away because I need all the desk space I can to show you the next item. But let me quickly go back to the comments, see if there's anybody. Douglas, do you still support Synology? I enjoyed your videos. Yes, I do. I do support Synology. I did a couple of videos before I took my little hiatus, my little recharge hiatus. But yes, I do. So if you need any help, any consulting, any troubleshooting, yeah, hit me up via email. It's in the description of all my videos. So yeah, I'd be happy to help if I can. So Grish says this one, yes, and I'm assuming you mean the video, so I'm excited about that. Once I'm done, I think I will make a video about it. I have an appetite to make interesting stuff, just need time when the house is quiet. Yeah, I understand. Every time I come up here to record, Grish, and every time I go live, I have 4 chihuahuas that I wonder, like, what's happening, you know, like, what's going to happen? Are they going to just go nuts? But Douglas Van Vliet is asking, what do you use to change from one camera to another? Well, I got a couple of options, David. I have a Blackmagic switcher in the rack here. I have a 2ME. I used to have I still have the Blackmagic Extreme. And I also have right on the desk here a Stream Deck set up using Companion to also switch between the scenes. I do not use OBS. I know a lot of people do use OBS. I do not use OBS. But yeah, so, and I'm going to switch to the handheld camera in a second because I want to take you guys back to the rack in the closet so I can show you the upcoming project and explain kind of the new toy. Well, not new toy, but new piece of gear I got. So Douglas, I will pan and show you the switcher in the rack, and I'll show you the Extreme, and then I'll also show you the Stream Deck and how I switch back and forth. So, and then Lisa says, pretty cool. I can totally see you using this in the field. Yeah, I think so. For certain situations, yeah, there have been some situations, but I just couldn't justify spending $200 for something that I didn't think I was going to get a lot of use out of. But for $40 or $50, definitely worth the money. So, okay, let me get my handheld set up, and I'll switch microphones. Let's see. I got to find the Stream to Studio app, and we are going to do that, and I'm going to do this. Just waiting for it to connect. And there we go. Let me switch microphones. Check 1 2, checking 1 2. I'm on the Rode Wireless Go now, and let me switch inputs. Well, actually, before I switch inputs, let me just quickly, before I forget, show Douglas what I was talking about. So actually, I do have to switch inputs for that. Okay, so there you go. So Douglas, there's the Stream Deck right there, and I have different presets for different camera angles. Like if I want to go back to me, I could just press this one, Tony on air, and now you can see it's back to me. But we're going to go back to the camera, and then if I swing over here, there's the 2ME, so I can also switch from the front panel here. And then down there is my Extreme, which the only thing my Extreme right now is doing is taking a program feed from the Blackmagic 2ME, and I'm using it to record. I use it to record, but right now I'm not recording this stream. So, but you could also, with an Extreme, you have your tactical surface buttons here where you can switch from camera view to camera view. So I hope that answers that question. And let me just take a quick look at the chat and make sure that you could still hear me. No one's saying you can't hear you. So, all right. I want to go in the back of the studio for a second or two and tell you about an interesting scenario that happened to me about 3-4 weeks ago. So I was downstairs watching TV, and all of a sudden my TV started to buffer and spin. I was watching YouTube TV, and the TV's hardwired Ethernet. It's not plugged in with, or it's not connected via Wi-Fi. And so what happened was all of a sudden the TV started spinning, and I thought, oh, we lost internet. When we were having a series of we had about a 2 or 3 week period where we were having severe thunderstorms every day. And I said, we lost internet, but okay, cool. I said, because just give it a second or two and it'll switch over. So here's my main router, that's the Edge Router 6P, and then there's my backup internet right there. So I have the Edge Router configured to fail over to the backup when the internet goes down. So I figured, okay, the internet's gonna switch over and the TV will come back. Well, I waited and I waited and I waited, and the TV never came back. And I went, oh, that's interesting. So what had happened was this switch down here was offline, and this UPS was shut off. And I couldn't understand why. This UPS and this UPS are plugged in. I don't know if you guys can see the outlet straight down. Let me move some of the wires, and you see down at the wall, both UPSs are plugged into that wall outlet, one in the top, one in the bottom. I don't remember which one is the top and in the plug and which one is the bottom, but let me go back to the desk for a second so I could just sit down and explain more of the story with me on screen. So let me switch back to me. Okay, so I lost the internet and I was like, what is going on? So what had happened was the bottom UPS, which is where that bottom switch is plugged into, sensed a loss of power from the outlet, from the electrical outlet. And what had happened was it went into backup mode where it was running on battery and keeping the switch and everything alive. But then I guess when the battery finally ran out, and I didn't hear it beeping from up here from where I was watching TV. So I just didn't realize. So I came up and saw that was off. But so I got it all working. I turned everything back on and I got it all working and the battery charged up and all. But what I couldn't figure out was why that UPS sensed a loss in power when it was plugged into the same electrical wall outlet that the top UPS was plugged into, but the rest of the network stayed on. So I had Wi-Fi and everything because the switch in the middle is my PoE switch powering all the access points, but the bottom switch is a non-PoE switch, and it obviously died because the UPS went out. So not sure what was going on with that there, but in any event, I thought that was an interesting story to share because, it's just a mystery and I just don't know. I mean, is it worth trying to figure out what happened? I don't know. I mean, the batteries on the UPSs, I replaced both of them just last year. So yeah, let me go to the comments and see what you guys are talking about. So Douglas asks, what do I do? So I do home networking, small business networking, Wi-Fi retrofits, complete whole house Wi-Fi installs. I do sound systems, 5.1 and larger. I do full house audio distribution. I do surveillance, not surveillance in the sense of security cameras and NVRs. I don't do home automation, but if you're interested in that, check out last month's live stream, because Nate from Level It Up or something like that, but the Teaching Technology channel, he does all that. So but that's what I do. And it's part-time, right? Aside from doing my YouTube channel. And if you're wondering what's behind me, I run a sports talk show on Wednesday evenings live on YouTube. I'm not on the show. I'm behind the scenes making all the magic happen. So, okay. Lisa says she totally we can hear you. So great. Yep, Meredith, that creepy bear. Well, don't think that didn't cross my mind. And those of you out there who have heard me talk about Meredith know that Meredith has some presence to her. Let's just leave it at that. All right. So Grish says the lens on the camera makes that setup look far away from you, but on the iPhone, the distance between your desk and the sports setup behind you looks like it's a couple of steps away. So from where I'm sitting, Grish, to the chair where the host sits is literally 6 to 7 feet away from me. The backdrop is probably 4 to 5 feet behind that. Yeah, so the room that I walk to is probably, the closet in the back is probably 16 feet, maybe 15, 16 feet. So yeah, the lens can do that to you. Douglas says, I do a lot of podcasting and I use OBS, I guess is what you mean at the moment, but would like to get your setup about how much would the project cost. Well, you know, what I got here is years of building, between all the audio, all the cameras, all the lighting, all the everything. I probably have about $30,000 invested in this studio, but you don't need that to get started. So, hey, if you want to chat, like I said, hit me up in an email. I'd be happy to, chat with you about it. David and Douglas. Oh, yeah, well, David, again, I am 62 years old. I'm allowed. So, David says, I find that UPSs tend to have other component level failures that are not battery related. I replace a lot of them out there. It could be. Could be. I mean, it's been running great ever since, but I don't know. Hey, Jason's Lab, thank you for joining. Welcome. He's got a few minutes or more than a few minutes. All right. So I didn't switch back to the regular microphone yet because I want to show you one other thing. I'm going to switch back to the handheld cam for a second. Go back to the closet. Let me walk slowly without making you guys seasick. All right, so part of what I'm going to be doing over the next, I guess it's going to be a couple of weeks because a lot of things are predicated on it, is I'm going to be overhauling this entire rack here. I mentioned I'm going to be replacing the edge router here with a Grandstream router. Right now I'm leaning towards the GCC 6010, unless I find out a reason as I keep working with it not to. That's my plan right now. And then I am moving away. I'm replacing my 3 switches. I have these are all Unify switches. This is the aggregation switch. This is the 8-port aggregation switch. It's not the Pro. This is the US 2450 watt PoE, I believe, the Gen 2. And this is the just the Gen 2 24-port non-PoE switch. So I am replacing it all with one Grandstream switch. So there's going to be a lot of planning involved because I have to figure out exactly what I have where on each switch. I was very good in the beginning when I first set the network up about labeling everything and about in the Unify controller labeling naming all the ports. But things are constantly changing around here and I've gotten pretty lax with it. So I really got to go and sit with the Unify controller and take stock of all my switch ports and list out what I have where, what has VLANs on it, because I have several VLANs. I have an IoT VLAN, a gas VLAN, a camera VLAN, a voice VLAN. So I got to plan it all out. And then I am moving. So I'm replacing all three of these switches with a Grandstream GWN 7806P. It is a 48 port PoE switch, 450 watts total. It's actually designed for small enterprise. I mean, it's probably overkill for my house here. However, you know, I have a 24 port switch here and a 24 port switch here. So port wise, I need the ports, right? But what I liked about that switch too is it also can replace my, in a sense, my aggregation switch, because I need the SFP plus ports, and that switch also comes with 6 SFP plus ports. So that one switch, theoretically, in my mind, is going to take the place of these 3 UniFi switches. I know Jason, when I told him about getting that switch, he says, that's a really loud switch, but I don't care. It's here. It's in the closet. It's not going to affect me. And you know what? I could always eventually look, if it's like way too loud that I can't handle it, I could always look to replace the fans with hopefully a quieter Noctua based fan. So what I want to show you now is that switch. It's still in the box. Actually, it is right down there. The box is huge. And I want to get it out of the box and fire it up for the first time. I've not done that yet. So we'll fire it up, we'll figure out what IP address it has, and at least get signed into the interface. So that's my plan for the next couple of weeks. Once I finish the series on the Grandstream home network setup, then that's my plan. To start taking stock on the router, start taking stock of the network and planning this transition away from UniFi over to Grandstream. Oh, I would. All right, Jason wants to see my FX30 lens. Let me do that real quick. Hold on, I got to get it back. 12 people here, 11 likes. Thank you, everybody, so much. I appreciate you. Just got to give it a chance to connect via SRT again. Come on. There we go. It would help if I hit the red button. Okay, should be there. Let's see. Let's see if I bring it into preview. Yep, there it is. All right, so Jason, there's the FX30. And that's the 15 millimeter lens that I have on it. I think I got the whole bundle from B&H when I bought it. It was on sale around the holidays. The whole bundle came out to, I forget, I want to say about, I don't remember. I don't want to quote it too high or too low. It's somewhere between $1,600 and $1,800. And it's normally a lot more than that when it's not on sale. But there you go. So, all right. All right, I'm back. Let's see. Douglas, what type of internet do I use? I have a gig symmetrical fiber for my main ISP. And I originally planned to only get the 300 symmetrical for the backup. But when I signed on, the salesperson was a very good salesperson. He said, you know, for only $10 more, I can give you a gig. He said, symmetrical. I said, but I don't need a gig for a backup. 300 for a backup would be more than enough. And I explained to the sales guy what the reasoning for signing on to their service was. And he says, yeah, but if you do that for the extra $10 a month, he said, I can give you $400 in in Visa gift cards. And he says, and here's the kicker. He said, all you have to do is keep the service on. There's no contract like committing you to have to keep the gig for a certain amount of time. He said, except 30 days. Keep it for 1 month. And then after the first billing cycle, if you want to drop it down to the 300 and the 300 and save the $10 a month, he said, more power to you. And you still, well, by that time, would have claimed the gift cards and probably used them. So it's a win-win all the way around, no matter how you look at it. Spend the extra $10 for the first month and get $400 in gift cards, Visa gift cards. To me, that sounded like a no-brainer, so I did it. The only thing is, that was back in March, and I'm still, I'm still paying for the gig because it's being a tech geek. It's just hard, even though it's a backup, and I know I don't need it. It's like just to say like, hey, I got a gig symmetrical even for my backup, you know. But if it was $20, $25, or $30 difference a month, in all honesty, I would have, you know, dropped it down to the 300. But for $10, to me, that's a no-brainer. So in any event, let's see what the other comments are, and then I want to open up that switch and at least fire it up for you guys tonight. Alonzo Smith, welcome. Thank you for coming. Jeremy, are you still here? Oh, yes, you are. Okay, cool, because I see you there. I just saw your comment. There's a reason why I asked, Jeremy. Jason says the 48 port isn't quite enough. Yeah, though it is. It'll get me. Never overkill, says Alonzo. It's not too loud. It's just louder than the Unify ones. Yeah, but I'm thinking like it's in that back closet, right? When I do stream, when I do record, when we do the show, that closet's closed. For the most part, that closet is open when nothing is going on up here for airflow. However, one can't be louder than three, right? I mean, I'm thinking, because those aren't all fanless back there. But anyway, Jeremy says, very cool. Douglas says, I switched from Spectrum and went with T-Mobile for business and don't regret it because my upload speed is much better for my Synology and doing my podcast. What is your podcast on, Douglas? What is the topic? Jason says, you will love the 48 port switch, Tony. I love my, you have one. Oh, okay. I didn't realize. Gotcha. What about your Unify camera setup? I don't have Unify cameras. I have Synology cameras and Amcrest cameras running off of Synology surveillance station. I've never had Unify cameras. I've installed Unify cameras for others, but I've never had them for myself. And if I wanted a Unify, let's say I wanted a Unify camera system, even with the GrandStream system in place, so I put in a UNVR and run the cameras that way. Yeah, it's a good setup, Jason. I love it. I was very leery about switching from Canon to Sony because Canon was all I knew all my life, the few years that I've been working with cameras. But I was really skeptical about it. I really did like the color spectrum of the Canon, but I've learned to love this camera in the worst way. So I still use my Canon back there. It's on the tripod for the host, and I do actually have an A6000, Sony A6000. I've always had an A6000 from day one as my top-down camera. So yeah. So my wife, thank you. She says, I'm not much of a techie, but Tony always does the right thing for everyone. I try. And Jason says, fully agreed. Yeah, we did some troubleshooting last week, Jason. That was a lot of fun. And glad we got your issue resolved. So I have all their switches from GrandStream, not even joking. Well, I bought the 48 port, but I also have the 7801P, which I'm using in the series, in the networking series. I have one of the unmanaged switches, and I also have 3 of their smaller switches in addition to the 78 port switch. So eventually what I might do is put the smaller switches into the rack here, the AV rack, and take the Unify switch out there. Actually, actually, no, I'm not going to switch microphones because I thought I was going to get to the box, but then I kept going with the comments. I might take the 16-port Unify switch out. That's a Gen 1, the US 1650 watt. I mean, this baby's about 6 or 7, maybe 8 years old and still kicking. So I will eventually look to replace that as well. But right now, the main project is redoing that rack and redoing the entire network. So Jeremy says, I may have gone a little overboard with the toys lately, but this fall is going to be fun, especially when it starts cooling off a little bit. Very cool. Jeremy, the reason I asked if you were still here is, have you played with the new Ozbot camera? And did you want to, for laughs and giggles, try to come into the stream and see how the camera works? We could do it one of two ways. I could send you a Zoom link and bring you in via Zoom ISO, or that would be the easy way, but that's not really testing the SRT features of the camera. We can also set it up to bring you in via SRT. I just have to do a quick port forward and send you my address. So it's up to you. And if not, and we could play offline. Alonzo wants to know, what is the reason switching from Unify to GrandStream? Great question, Alonzo. So in the first house we built down here, we lived in it for 8 years. I had complete Unify set up and always, well, I shouldn't say that. That's not 100% true. I never went complete Unify. Like, I never had a Unify router at the head end of my network. When I say complete Unify setup, for me, that translates to Unify switches and Unify access points. I've always had the edge router at the head end of my network. I've never bought into the Unify routers, even the Dream Machine and the Dream Machine Pro and all that. I went with the Edge line because it was solid. I learned a lot about it. I really got to know the ins and outs on it. I learned so much about networking through the Edge router. I mean, that is one device that if you really want to dive in and learn the nuts and bolts about networking and how the science behind how it works, that router is going to be the one that's going to teach you. And the reason I say that is it's not an easy user interface. It's some people may say it's awkward. Some people may say it's clunky. But if you can get comfortable with that Edge router user interface, you are going to learn a lot about networking. So I was all ubiquity. Let's put it that way. I was all ubiquity, combo, hybrid, Edge router, Unify switches and access points. Then I started to explore Synology routers. I started to explore the GrandStream routers. And when we built this house 2.5 years ago, I went all GrandStream access points. So I have a 7630 up here. I have a GWN 7630 in the main floor and centrally located, and I have a GWN 7615 in the master bedroom. And I really like the performance of the GrandStream access points. And these are only Wi-Fi 5. These are not Wi-Fi 6, the ones that I have currently installed. Really, really like the performance. I like the interface. Yes, the Unify controller interface is nice, but one thing about it is it's constantly changing. And once I get used to with one version, they're constantly coming out, and with another version, and then you're looking for everything all the time, everywhere. They move things, and it's becoming for me more of a hassle than it is a convenience. So that said, exploring more of the GrandStream things, when they came out with their line of switches, I started to get those to do demos on. I really like the interface. And then this convergence series that they came out with the UCC series, this 6010 is what sold me. It just playing with it for the last 3 weeks, and that interface is wonderful. I said, yeah, I'm going to do this. That's it. I've made up my mind. As much as I don't want to give up my Edge router, I really like this, and I like being able to control everything from the GCC 6010. Now I could do it all in the GrandStream cloud as well, but for me, for my network, I'm going to keep it as the GCC 6010 being the main controller. Um, so since I already had the GrandStream access points, which I hope once I convert the network over to eventually swap out the Wi-Fi 5 version for a Wi-Fi 6 version of the access points throughout the house. But that's not critical. Like Wi-Fi 5 is working fine for me. It's that old adage, if it's not broke, don't fix it. So yeah, but I definitely want to I want my whole backbone to be GrandStream, if that makes sense. So I guess I really like it. I really like what I've seen so far from it. It's solid. The switches are well built. The router is snappy. The UI is clean. So I figured since I already have the access points in place, part of the decision is I just want to, if that makes sense. So there may be some 2-year-old Unify equipment back there, because that's when I got it 2.5 years ago when I bought the house. I bought that rack stuff. There might be some Unify equipment up for sale pretty cheap. So if anybody's looking for some Unify gear at a good price, I will take care of you. So I hope that answers your question, Alonzo. So Douglas says, I cover everything from religious content to electronics. Well, do me a favor, share your podcast link with me in an email. I've got the camera right in front of me along with the Rode Wireless Me. Oh, you didn't. You dirty dog. You got the Rode Wireless Me. That's awesome. That's awesome. Even his wife can handle most of this. Yep. And Lisa's not a techie, so GrandStream warranty, 3 years. Okay. Jeremy, I am game for trying to get you into the stream via SRT. I'm assuming you want to try via SRT. I'm game to give that a shot, but the first thing I want to do is take the GWN 7806P out of the box and at least fire it up for the first time and see what it's all about. All right. I'm not sure which camera angle to do this with because it is a pretty big box, but we'll see. Okay. All right, here we go. I think I'm just going to leave it here because I'm never going to, the overhead cam's just not going to do it even if I zoom all the way out. As long as you guys can hear me and see, it's not like about doing a, pretty unboxing. It's just taking a look at the gear. All right. So like every GrandStream device comes with user manual. By the way, I found the GrandStream documentation at documentation.grandstream.com extremely helpful, especially trying to learn about the GCC 6010 the last couple of weeks. So if anybody has GrandStream products, documentation.grandstream.com. Remind me, I'll drop it in the link. All right, so you get a little wire management, power cord, grounding wire, rack ears, and the little tiny screws to put the rack ears on. So what we're going to do is I'm going to put all this stuff back there. I'm not even going to use the power cord because I have the power cord from the other switch already on the floor plugged in. So let me get this out of the way. And let me put this here. You can see it's still taped. I honestly have not, aside from cutting open the box just to see the size of the beast when it came in this week, I really have not taken it out of the plastic. Okay, All right, so there she is in all her glory. Let's see if I can pan. Let's see what the other camera looks like. Oh boy, let's zoom out. There we go. Okay, so basically right here you have a console port. You have your 6 SFP plus ports right here, and then you have your 48 port 48 gigabit Ethernet ports. On the side, venting, and you can see the rack where you screw the rack ears in. On the back, I don't want to put it down on the ports. You just have the information, probably serial number, password, and all that stuff. Power port and grounding lug. And then on this side, 3 fans over here, and then the rack ears, screws, and then the only other thing, you probably can't see it, but there is a, next to the status light right here, there is a reset hole right there. So, all right, so let's switch cameras again. There we go. And let me get this, let me get an Ethernet cable plugged in. Yeah, they did it on this switch too. Grandstream has the weirdest numbering system, or well, not numbering system. They use 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, but instead of the top port being 1 and the bottom port being 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, like traditional switches, they go the other way around. The bottom port is 1, the top port is 2, 3, 4. So they start 1 at the on the bottom row. Not sure why, but it works. All right, real quick, let me just jump into the comments. Actually, let me fire it up and then I'll jump into the comments. Will this reach? Let's see. Yes. I don't know if you can hear that. The fan's kicking on. Okay, sorry for the fan noise. All right, let me go back to the comments. Douglas says, I also have a nonprofit and need to bring other people in the podcast, so I will send you the email to see if you could possibly help me. Okay, Douglas, no problem. And also, let me mention this. I have a friend who writes his own content. I helped him produce a podcast a couple of years ago. The podcast name was Unbridled Emotions. He's a very religious person and writes about hope and peace and things like that. He got away from doing it, but he actually just called me today and inquired about, does he still have enough gear to do it on his own, just an audio podcast? We were doing a video podcast. So he wants to get back into it. So this might be a good connection for the two of you guys too, because based on what you told me about what you do, you guys might have something in common there to talk about. So it might be a win-win for both of you. So when you shoot me the information, let me know in the email if that's something you would be interested in, and I'll speak to my friend and see if he wants to, if it's okay, if you're okay with having his information, if it's okay to forward it to you. So very cool. Hey, better than where it was. Not sure what that comment's in reference to, which part of the conversation, but anyway, thank you, hon. And yeah, so now the switch quieted way down. That was just during the boot process. All right, and Alonzo Smith says, I was an early adopter of Unify Gear NOS, but was burned several times with updates. That made me look for an alternative. Went with Ruji Ray gear. I don't know if I pronounced that correctly, but interesting. Yeah, you have to. Let's put it this way, Alonzo. I got burned not with gear firmware updates, but with controller firmware updates, especially with the hosted controller. I can't tell you how many times I would manually do the update because I was running it on I'm running my controller on a DigitalOcean controller, hosted server. And every time I update it, every 4 or 5 fifth update, it goes south on me. Um, and I do it manually via SSH, the whole route. I mean, I'm confident enough with my skill level to do that. However, a couple of times it has gone south on me, and thank God for Willie Howe to bail my behind out, to get me out of that jam. But I can't tell you how many times just doing the controller update, every time I would do it, and I have all my notes written down, and I've done it successfully a lot, but there's that every so many times it just would go south, something, right? And I guess maybe that's where my skill level with Linux isn't where it should be to be able to back myself out of it. But I know that, and I admit that, and I have no problem reaching out to Willie and saying help, and he's been great about it, and I can't thank him enough. But I would, for that reason, I would love to move all my clients away from Unify, but I really can't pitch that to them because they have good working networks at this point. So, but moving forward, I'm going to start to deploy more GrandStream out in with my clients. So, in any event, yeah, I feel your pain. David, welcome. You don't worry about it. It's all good. I know him well. He's trying to make a difference. Maybe consider this. Okay. Sorry for the mostly caps. Oh, no worries. No worries. All right. So the next thing I have to do here is, yep, Alonzo. Alonzo says Willie came to my rescue. Yep. So in any event, yeah. All right. I need to find out the IP address on this. Give me a second. Let's just log into my router real quick and look at the DHCP server. I am not running on this particular computer. I'm not running Angry IP, so just bear with me. Just hope that port that I plugged it into is on the main VLAN. Let's see. Let's try this one. Aha, got it on the first try. All right. Let me bring that up there. Okay. Let me switch over to here. There we go. All right. So that's the login page for the 7801P. Now, the initial password is usually in two places. It's usually on the bottom of the device or the back of the device, and GrandStream also gives you a second extra tag. So what I need to do is type in the password, but I have to put my reading glasses on for that. So the username by default is admin. By the way, normally out of the box, the default address is 192.168.80.1, but since I have it plugged into my existing Unify switch here, it's pulling an address on my main VLAN. So we're going to go with admin, and then the password is Okay, hopefully I typed that in correctly, and it should prompt me to change the password on the initial sign-in. And it did not. Interesting. Usually the first thing GrandStream products do is prompt you to change the password. So we could change the password here, but for now I'm just going to leave it set to the default. So this is the system info that under overview, GWN 7806P. The firmware version is 1.0.1.14. Let's see if there is an update out there. Under support and firmware. Why is this so big? Okay, well, it's good. You guys can see it. Let's see, firmware switches, network switches, 7806P. That seems to be at the 1.0.1.14. I think that's where we're at. 1.0.1.14. Okay. Just so you know, GrandStream changed the firmware update. It used to be firmware.grandstream.com was the URL for all the GrandStream products, but now it's individual. As you can see here, each switch model has a different firmware version, and that holds true even for like the access points. So before, if you came down into maintenance and you went to upgrade, and you typed in, even this one's not correct, used to change this from fm.grandstream.com/gs to firmware.grandstream.com and then apply updates, but now you'd have to copy the actual specific firmware URL. So it makes it a little bit more complicated, I guess, for the administrator, but I guess they have their reasonings why. So in any event, so if we look at switching, I mean, there's a lot of ports here. You got your flow statistics. Again, there's nothing happening on the switch. I just wanted to sign in for the first time. Port auto recovery, recovery items, delay time. You get link aggregation, lag settings, LACP, your MAC address tables. Here's where you would come in and create your VLANs. Again, but the user interface is just so clean and snappy and easy to navigate. You get your spanning tree settings, VLAN IP interface, DHCP servers. I mean, your ARP tables. And half of the stuff, like in my home networks that I set up, half of the stuff I don't use, to be completely honest with you. I mean, beyond VLANs and firewall rules. Here's your routing tables and static routes. Could be set up here. You got even supports IPv6. Here's your global PoE configuration and your settings. You could reserve power. Reserve power at 20. PoE reserve power interface, and then you could see 802.3 AT, but I believe you could set a port to 802.3 AF. I thought you could, yeah. And then there's the different power classes, power supply. You could set the priority of the port, whether or not, if the switch is running low on power, basically, because you're pulling a lot of PoE, you could set the individual ports to low, critical, or high, and it would actually then pull power dynamically and give it to the ports that it needed based on the priority settings. And then all the GrandStream QoS, security, storm control, port security, port isolation. I mean, it's ACL, access control lists, whole bunch of stuff. I mean, and then under your maintenance, you got your common upgrade, diagnostics, backup and restore. But just the whole idea here is to look at the interface, look at how clean and snappy it is. One of the reasons why I'm switching. And then you got your system settings. You can give the device a name, set its location. You got your user management. You could add your users, time policies. So yeah. So in any event, there it is. So this is going to be part of my project over the next month, maybe 2 months, is taking stock of my network and getting this switch transitioned over to replace my Unify switches and get the router replaced, and hopefully everything will work out okay if I plan it out. And I have to be really careful because I have a weekly sports show, so I can't, if I am down for whatever reason, I can't be down for long periods of time, if that makes sense. So let's go back to the comments. Jeremy says, I am game to try the SRT feature out. You can send IP and port. Yes, I'm going to do that right now, Jeremy. This way you could start configuring on your end, and then I'll set up the port forwarding here. We'll see if we can bring you in. That would be cool. All right. Why not, right? We do it live. That's Jay's statement. Bear with me, folks. I'm just sending Jeremy the info he needs. And then make sure I type that in correctly. Okay, that's that. And then Jeremy, use port. I'll put the port number in there as well. So, okay, so that should be all you need. And if it asks you for a stream ID, put in, let's see what I have it set up here as. Put in this. If it requires a stream ID. And then also I have the latency set. If you have the option to set your latency, I have the latency set to 120, which is the default. Okay, here it comes, Jer. All right. That's that. So hopefully Jeremy will get it sorted out on his end, and I'll just set up a port forwarding rule, and I should be able to bring him right in to the show. All right. Let's see. Yeah, I'm sure it does, Jeremy. I know the smaller GWN switches do, so I'm sure this one does. I didn't see it. I just went through quickly just for an overview, but yeah. So, okay. While we're waiting on that, let me see what else I got here as far as my notes. Let's see, how long have we been streaming for? We are streaming for 1 hour and 27 minutes. I am going to switch back to the regular microphone. Check 1 2. Check 1 2. Okay. Everybody can hear me okay? Let me get this off. Okay. So, let me see, what else do I have here that I wanted to chat with you guys about? I do have one additional addition to the studio, and I added, let me just bring it up again. I'll show it to you real quick before I bring Jeremy in. Just waiting for it to connect. Let's see, is it there? It is. All right, so I just added to the studio this guy right here. That's a Blackmagic SDI to audio converter. So what it's doing is it's taking the SDI feed out of my HyperDeck here, and I'm bringing the SDI feed into the audio converter, and then taking the SDI feed, it's passing through the audio converter and then into the ATEM2ME switcher. So before that device came into the studio, the HyperDeck was just going SDI out to the 2ME in. So now it's passing through the audio converter, because the audio converter is grabbing the audio that plays on the from the HyperDeck videos, and it's sending it into my SSL12 mixer. And the reason for that is, I'm sorry if I'm making you dizzy. The reason for that is, when I run the sports show, I have the host here, but I have the remote guests coming in via Zoom and Zoom ISO. So the remote guest can hear everything that the host, and we have our person who reads our chat messages live, everything that's coming through. So that mixer is then sending the sound into the ATEM, which is then going out to the stream. However, via mic 1. So the output of the SSL is going into the ATEM via mic 1. So no problem for everybody to hear everybody. I even have a headphone mix in the SSL software so that the host and the chat person can hear them in their headphones. However, when I would play audio before getting that Blackmagic audio converter, any audio I played from the from the HyperDeck, it would run into port 6 on my. Hold on, let me see if I can show that to you. So the audio coming from the HyperDeck would run into input number 6. You can see I have the audio on, and that was fine for making it out to the stream, because anything that came into the inputs would go out over here on the far right, would go out the master. However, the problem was the guests, the remote guests, and also the chat person that sits to my right over here, your left, and the host, they weren't hearing the audio coming from the HyperDeck. So the intro pre-roll, the commercials that we run in between our show segments, they weren't hearing that. So I needed to come up with a way so that they can hear the entire show, and that solution is working wonderfully now, because the remote guests as well as the headphone in-studio headphone mix can now hear the audio coming from the HyperDeck. So that was a great $50 find. Really, that's all that was. Now they're new. They're more expensive new, but Joe from Tech for Fun actually found a used one for me on eBay, and so I bought it, and it's been working fine ever since. So yeah. But anyway, so that's the other new addition to the studio. Jeremy, how are we doing? Are you configured on your end? I'm going to set up the port forwarding now so I can anticipate your arrival. All right. So let's see what the IP address is of the decoder. Apply. All right, so the host, the port forwarding is ready. Yes, set up a DNAT. I'm going to go the simple route for the live stream, Jason. That's what we were trying to figure out. Last week, Jason and I were working on a project where port forwarding was working, but we couldn't get the proper. Well, he was having a problem with the proper configuration of the DNAT on the GrandStream router. So I said, like, send me a screenshot, so from that, send me a screenshot led to, hey, you want to troubleshoot together? And I said, sure. And, you know, it was just a matter of filling out the DNAT feels a certain way, and it worked. But like, yeah, so that's he's inside joke here. He's saying, oh, hey, set up a DNAT. I'll just go with the port forwarding for now. So, all right, how we doing there, Jeremy? Well, actually, if your port forwarding is set up, so as soon as you start sending, I should see you, hopefully. But all right, so David, what's new with you, David from PE for Doers? Yes, I should have said that to you. You are the caller. Correct. I gave you all the information but that, but yes, you figured that out. All right, start sending. I probably won't be able to hear you though without a Zoom call, but that's fine. I just want to get your picture up on, get you up on the screen. The folks should hear you. Ah, David, a new Micro Center video comes out mañana. Very cool. Love your Micro Center videos. Is it a back to school video? All right, Jeremy, I still see a disconnected status here. Yes, as much as can be practical 3 weeks late. No worries. Hey, you're just lucky that they let you. They work with you and let you come in the store. So come on, Jeremy, we can get this to work. How many tech guys does it take to get SRT working over the internet? That's what it's designed for. Says he should be sending now unless I missed something. Let me make sure I sent you the correct info. Yep. Yeah, that's everything that I sent you. That's correct. Can you send me in Signal a screenshot of your configuration real quick? Because we should be connected. Double checking everything on my end. Yep. The fun of doing things live. If you guys don't mind, while we're trying to figure out the get this SRT piece up and running, if you don't mind, I am just going to step away for 1 second to, well, not 1 second, but a couple seconds, just to use the restroom. So if you would indulge me, I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Just curious. This is a good test for my gate over here. My enhancer and my gate. Can you hear that switch? I'm wondering if the gate, the noise floor, the gate is cutting it out, or if you hear it. Let me know in the comments, because it's on the floor and the fans are going, and it is pretty loud. All right. I guess we're not. Let's see. Jeremy just sent me his screen picture. Let's see. Jeremy, reverse the IP addresses in that configuration. Try that. All right. Let's see. Let's see what the comments say. Yeah, that would be the gate opening and closing. When I'm speaking, the gate's opening, and then when I'm silent, the gate is closed. Fortunately, it's not going to be here on the floor when it'll be in that rack in the back. So let's see. Oh, that's interesting. All right. And that. It looks then, yeah, then Jeremy, it's in the host field where you have my public IP. Does it allow you to put in, even though you're in the SRT configuration, does it allow you to put anything else in besides just the IP address? Can you put in SRT:// and then maybe put a colon at the end of the IP address and put the port number after the IP address? I'm just wondering, because Joe and I have played around with different SRT configurations, and sometimes it's as simple as that. No, I don't have encryption turned on my end. Like on this side, I have encryption set to none. Yeah, I don't use Discord though, Captain Radar. As much as excuse me, as much as I would like to, it's just another thing that I can't add to my schedule at this point in my life. But and this was just a fly by night kind of thing, man. You know, hey, what the heck? Well, let's try it. You know, but if it works, it works. Hello, TVJ. Welcome. TVJ, if you're wondering what we're doing, well, we went through a whole bunch of stuff, too much to list to recap. But in any event, what we're trying to do now is get Jeremy into the stream via SRT with his new Ozbot camera. We're trying it on the fly. But we're not having success. We'll give it a few more minutes and we'll see what happens. If not, Jeremy, you and I could play offline this week and then get it working, figure it out. I have everything here on my end set up in the decoder, and I have port forwarding set up correctly on my router. So and I've used SRT with this configuration, so I'm not sure if it's on the caller side or not, but I tell you what, Jeremy, I'm going to leave it listening, and if you all of a sudden pop in, great. So in the meantime, I'm not sure I have much else. We talked about the video series. Again, part 2 is coming out on Saturday. I've been trying to publish a few more shorts along the way, just to try to give the channel a little bit more traction. And thinking about when I finish the home networking series, doing a couple of videos on the actual built-in PBX that's part of the GCC 6010. More for how, you know, a home use situation. Because I know a lot of my home user clients, they have like they pay for, remember the old services like Vonage, voice over IP? I don't even know if like Vonage is still around, but like they have services like that. And, you know, so like with a GCC 6010, you can have your own PBX built right in and just pay for a number, you know? So, and most of the providers out there, I mean, I know I use Telnex, and I have a pay, even for my business, I have a pay as you go plan. So even going that route, it's not super expensive at all. So yeah, it looks like we're not having any success here, but Jay says my coworker was a huge Vonage fan. Like I said, I don't even know if Vonage is still in existence. Let me take a quick look online. Yeah, check it out. So Vonage is still around. Who knew? Reliable home phone service. See plans and pricing. North America World Prime, $9.99 a month, no annual contract. $14.99 a month for World Prime international plan. Interesting. Unlimited calls to US, Canada, Puerto Rico, and Mexico. Oh wow. So yeah. So Vonage is still a thing. So yeah, I'm sure there's other VoIP providers out there as well. Yeah. No luck, Jer? Yep. I actually have VoIP MS as a backup SIP provider on my UCM 6302. So I have Telnex as my main trunk, and then I have a VoIP.ms trunk. I just hate their interface. And we were talking about the Edge router's interface before being like, you know, clunky or not user friendly. I just don't like the VoIP, you know, when you log into your web portal. I just but that's just me. So, but does it work working well for you, Grish? I mean, what do you have, a hosted PBX in the cloud? Let's see what he says. No dice. It looks like it's all configured. I'm going to have to try it out with my OBS studio if I can make it work. Maybe we can get this going another day. Absolutely. No worries. So we gave it a shot. Jeremy says, seems like it's a bust tonight. Yeah, hey, we tried, right? So, and I know the port forwarding and everything set up here is configured correctly. So I'm not sure what's going on. I mean, I double checked my numbers more than 3 times. So Rich says, I don't use a PBX anymore, but I did at one point host my PBX. Okay, in Linode, it worked great. Cool. I'm not sure about this, Jay. Can your phone numbers work on either trunk? I mean, I definitely have a phone number with VoIP.ms, and I want to say I believe so because I have it set up as the backup failover. So if it didn't, right? I haven't tested it. I guess I just assumed that well, maybe not. No. I'm trying, like I'm thinking this through as I'm speaking, and I'm not sure. Well, the only way to find out would be, no, I don't think so. I don't think it would as I'm thinking about it. Hello, Tech for Your Needs. Hello there. Welcome. You're new. I don't know that I've seen you before, unless, is this Joe with another one of his many channel names? Or account names? No, if it's not Joe, welcome. Where are you from? Thanks for tuning in. How did you find out about me? Or how did you hear about me? Let me know down in the chat below. Tech for Your Needs says, I'm new. Cool. Well, welcome. When I was a consultant prior to 2010, Vonage was a cybersecurity client of mine. Maybe things I knew from back then have changed. Yeah. Cool. Very cool. Well, I hope you check out the prior part of the stream. We've been going Tech for Your Needs for about an hour and 53 minutes total. So I'm going to start wrapping this up. But we cover, at this channel, we cover various technology things. Somebody asked me earlier what I do, and we do home networking, small business networking, surveillance cameras, systems, whole house distributed audio, sound systems, home theater type systems. We don't do home automation. And on my channel, you'll see videos like from Ubiquity, Synology, GrandStream, and a whole bunch of other random products as well. So welcome, and I hope you check out the channel and eventually become a subscriber. Well, actually, if you're in the chat, you are a subscriber because I think I have subscriber only mode on. So thank you for the sub. So everybody, I appreciate you all coming out tonight. Like I said, it's been about 6 weeks since I went live, so I was itching to do that. I had some news to share. My daughter, again, just a quick recap, got engaged over the weekend, so yay. I had a clean biopsy report on my gums, so yay. I have couple bottles of whiskey in the wild coming next Wednesday or Thursday, so yay. Got my my home networking video series underway, and so yay. And be planning out a home network transition, and that's going to be take a little planning, and I'll try to document it if I can, but I'm not sure how much of that I'm going to be able to do. So in any event, thank you all for coming out tonight. And let's see, I just saw something pop up. Oh, David thanking me on my daughter. Thank you, David. I appreciate that. Yeah, we were very, very, very excited But anyway, thank you folks all for coming out tonight. I look forward to the stream in September. Jeremy, you and I will get together. We will get the SRT working. I promise you, no worries. We'll figure out what it was. I know sometimes when you're live and it's under pressure, things don't always go the way we want. But thank you for being willing to try. And on that note, I'm going to say thank you, everybody, for coming out tonight, and we'll see you all next time.